Welcome to episode number 255 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for all of you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We are recording live on YouTube on January 18, 2019. We return to our original format this week after taking last week to talk about the podcast and how we're planning for the future and everything. We're going to return to the format, but we'll touch on the podcast again in our project section. So without further ado, the topics we talk about this week include AOC's social school, Bandersnatch, Twitter's beta app, LinkedIn docs, augmented magazines, how-to posts, Skyped, non-fluencers, Gillette lash, and deep fake Trump. And BL, kick it off. What was the best story of the week?
Well, I'm quite thrilled with the fact that Representative Ocasio-Cortez is teaching Democrats how to be more popular on Twitter. This is from a story by McKenna Kelly in The Verge, and she actually led a class. She led a session of House Democratic Policy and Communications Committee on Thursday on the most effective ways to engage constituents on Twitter and the importance of digital storytelling. And her colleague Jim Hines, a Democrat from Connecticut, also shared his insights. I would have loved to be a fly on the wall there. So this could be the start of significant changes in the way that Democrats now use Twitter. And it's significant because she has over 2 million followers on Twitter and 1.8 million on Instagram. And Hines, who runs his own social media as well, has 76,000 followers on Twitter. And, you know, the ineptitude of lawmakers on both sides of the aisle has been demonstrated in the congressional hearings and when they grilled Jack Dorsey on algorithm bias and when they were grappling with how Facebook works. And, you know, so there's a lot to be learned. And, oh, here comes my new cat. You're definitely going to meet her. Representatives from Twitter and the House Administration Committee put together social media rules for lawmakers, and the representatives from Twitter joined her session. So, you know, she gives live cooking sessions on Instagram, and she documents her daily life, and so she's fun. And she live streamed last month. You know, Elizabeth Warren live streamed herself drinking a beer in her house. And so, you know, Beto O'Rourke makes slime with his daughter and went way too far by showing us his teeth cleaning. I don't know what the hell he was thinking there, but that was much more than I needed to know about his teeth. But I think this is a hopeful sign that, you know, there's some studying going on and that they want to get better, because clearly there are people on there who are not very good at it.
Yeah, well, she's a natural. She's a absolute pro at social and at digital. I in another life was involved in politics. I published a Minnesota politics blog that was very popular. And one thing that I've noticed about politics is the innovations, the communication innovations, come from the challengers, come from the people who have no chance whatsoever.
You're absolutely right.
They have nothing to lose, and they're going to try whatever they can to win. And she was a challenger who nobody thought was going to win. And look at her now. So Jesse Ventura was an example of that too. He did his campaign did some very innovative things when he ran for governor of Minnesota. You see it over and over again.
And then there was Barack Obama. Don't forget that.
Trump himself too. So the challengers who nobody thinks can win, watch them, because they often are very innovative in how they use their communications.
It's a good sign.
Yeah. Speaking of innovation, we talked several episodes ago about Netflix interactive storytelling movie or episode of Black Mirror called Bandersnatch. BL, did you watch it?
I did not.
So I did watch it several times because you have to do it that way. It is a movie-length episode of Black Mirror, one of our favorite shows. And during the opening scene, the protagonist and his father are in the kitchen for breakfast, and the guy's father holds up 2 boxes of cereal. Do you want Frosted Flakes? Do you want Wheaties?
And then you get to choose.
A notification comes up on the screen and you get to choose which one you want. And whichever choice you make sends you down to a different story path. And so throughout the whole movie, there are these pauses where you get notifications where you have to make a choice, and it changes the nature of the story. So there's tons of different endings because there's all these different story paths that go down. Apparently, there are choices that people haven't found yet. So there's people trying to figure that out, but it was
so that's
ironic.
why you had to watch it many times.
Yeah, because see how the story plays out in different branches. Ironically, I started it up on my Kindle Fire, and it wouldn't play because the technology didn't support the interactivity. So I had to go to my Xbox to use the app, the Netflix app on my Xbox. Because no, I used it on my browser. It wouldn't do it in the browser. That's what it is. So they got some work to do there, but it was pretty cool. It's been hailed as the next big thing in interactive storytelling, and it's very innovative. It's cool. It's hardly new, though, as Jenna Wynn points out in the conversation. Netflix itself has done this before with children's shows. So there's Puss in Boots in Books, and Buddy Thunderstruck, who there's interactive stories there. And then, if you're ambitious, you could do it yourself with YouTube. You could actually do this yourself. Just create a bunch of YouTube videos that do a story. And using the end cards, you could prompt people to make a choice of which branch they want to go down to.
We should do that.
Yeah.
But this is so funny because a million years ago when I was in journalism school, we talked about how interactive television was coming. And the thing I remember from when I was a little girl was we used to talk about how there would be basically video phones. You would be able to see other people on the phone. Well, of course, you could do that any day now, but that for a long time was like the future.
Right.
And, interactive TV was the future. And here it is. Took a hell of a long time to get here, I got to tell you.
Well, Dick Tracy had an Apple Watch way back in the day.
Didn't he, though? And I had one of those. Boy, was that a cool thing. So there's a new look here is a new look at Twitter's new beta app. This is from a TechCrunch story by Sarah Perez and Ingrid London. And in the coming weeks, Twitter's going to launch a new beta program. A select group of users are going to get access to all the features. It's by way of a standalone app, and they're going to be able to use and talk about the new features with others. So apparently communities coming to Twitter in some form. Twitter, in turn, is going to use the data that it picks up from the usage and the chatter around it to decide how to turn those tests into full-blown product features for the rest of its user base. What's interesting about it is usually when there's a beta app, it's really early on, but this one's pretty much ready to go. They just want to see if people are going to use it the way they're expecting to. But I must also point out that there was a really sort of scary interview with Jack, the founder of Twitter this week. What's his last name? I can't think of it.
Dorsey.
Yeah, Jack Dorsey. And, it's very clear, as Casey Newton pointed out, he has no idea what he's talking about. And he rambles and he makes these pauses. And you think when he's talking that he's about to say something important, but he doesn't ever really make much sense, like a lot of people these days. But anyway, that's what happens. It's coming. And I hope I hope I get a chance to play with it. I like to play with things like that.
That would be cool. Yes, definitely. I've been playing with LinkedIn a lot lately. And they have a new feature that I mentioned in the past episode of being able to upload documents to your LinkedIn profile. Of course, Microsoft bought LinkedIn not long ago, and Microsoft is a company known for having software that makes documents. So not surprisingly, they've integrated the ability to upload your documents to your profiles. So I've been doing that. I uploaded a Content Marketing 101 presentation that I've been giving for years, and just as a test. And it outperformed what most of my articles do initially right away. It got a lot of views. So it appears that the algorithm is favoring the docs right now. The analytics for the docs, I mean, LinkedIn's analytics are pretty
lame,
spare and pretty lame. but the analytics do for the document upload do show companies, titles, and geography of the viewers, and sometimes individuals of the viewers. You got to kind of, if you're interested in that, you got to kind of watch it over and over again, because that list will change as you accumulate more viewers. So that was interesting. And then I've been uploading videos. I've been uploading my LinkedIn pro tips to my LinkedIn profile, of course. And the videos did not nearly do as well as the document that I uploaded. So that was interesting. My first video, I got like 50 views on the first day. LinkedIn is counting a 3 seconds as a view, so it's scrolling past probably is going to count as a view. But then as I was adding more and more videos, I was getting more and more views for each subsequent video. So maybe there's something to the fact that you're uploading multiple videos that gives you more views, more juice. But unlike the articles that you can post on LinkedIn, neither the videos nor the documents stay attached to your profile. So it won't just be there like articles are. You have to kind of save the URLs if you want to keep track of them, which is a very glaring omission. But
that's an enormous omission. You mentioned that about videos. 2 episodes ago, we were talking about how LinkedIn said video is the thing now, and so now documents are the thing. Okay. I don't have any other good news, so go right ahead with your others.
All right. I have been going to Vikings, most of the Vikings home games this year.
There's a big surprise.
NFL, yeah, I know. And so every time you go to a game, for every seat of every home game, the Vikings leave a game program on the seat for you. The last game of the season was against the Chicago Bears, and the Vikings did something a little innovative with their program. So here is the program for the Chicago Bears game, and you can see that little round circle on the program. That is a scanner code. And so what they prompted everyone in the stadium to do is use your Vikings app. So there's an app to scan the code. And then what happened is this player, Harrison Smith, he's the safety, came to life it's an augmented reality app, came to life in the augmented reality app.
What fun.
Turned around, and then some menus pop up that you can tap on in the app to learn more about him. But it was a really, really, I mean, think about it. The Vikings they've got 16 games a season. 8 of them are at home. For 8 days of a season, they have a captive audience of 60,000 people. And they're using it to drive more adoption for the app for new users, and they're using this to get more engagement out of existing users. So it was a smart thing to do and a clever thing to do. And if you've got the bucks to field an NFL team and have a stadium built in your honor, you can do it
too. Have you missed a game this year?
I missed like one, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I know what a big fan you are.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us your next one, because all I got is bad news and politics.
So this is a too long must-read article by Lacey Boggs of Copy Blogger. So how-to articles are great, right? They're useful, valuable content that generates traffic. They demonstrate your expertise, but Lacey Boggs argues maybe they aren't. Maybe they aren't so great. And just to quote from her article, how-to content attracts a very specific subset of any given audience, those who want to know how to do something. Often these people are independent, born DIYers who like to figure things out on their own. That's awesome if your ideal customer includes those people and you have something to sell them. The problem happens when we have a mismatch between the content type, the audience it attracts, and the ideal customer for your business. So it's a good thing to read to think about what type of audience your content is likely to attract, and does that align with your business objectives. That's kind of if you're selling courses and you're writing how-to stuff, and part of the article is a subsection of an entire course you've got to sell, then maybe that makes sense, but maybe it doesn't if you've got something else to sell. So it's a good thing to think about. Finally,
it's a very smart approach, actually.
It is.
Yeah.
Finally, I mentioned Netflix. Netflix did announce the new season of Stranger Things not long
Can't
ago,
wait.
and they did it in a very clever way. They teased the upcoming season to build excitement for the new season by releasing the episode titles with the announcement. I thought that was very clever. I hadn't seen that done before. So the new season will be released on July 4th. E Online's Lena Grossman has posted the titles. They include Susie, Do You Copy, The Mall Rats, The Case of the Missing Lifeguard, The Sauna Test, The Source, The Birthday, The Bite, and The Battle of Star Court. So gearing up for Netflix season 3 of Stranger Things. Can't wait.
I love that show.
Yeah.
So does that bring us to
It does.
bad news? Okay, well, I had some really bad news this weekend. It really just sat all wrong. We've talked about this before. I got Skyped this week. So I was sick. And so I was not looking at all of my emails on the days that they came. And, you know, it was also holidays, whatever. I missed the email from Skype telling me that my credits were going to deactivate, which they do, I don't know, every 9 months. Who knows when the hell they do it. But if you don't go in and use Skype or whatever it is they're telling you to do, they just take your money away. So I went in to try and activate it. And what the hell? There was no way to do that. And so the next day I go back and it says, there's no more money. Your $39 and change is gone. So I go on a chat and I say, hello, you have to give me back my money. Oh, no, we can't do that because you bought these credits many years ago and you never used them. Duh, that should be your first indication of why you should give me my money back. But anyway, and so we can't give it to you because you can only get your money back within 15 days after you buy the credits. And I said, well, you know, I'm really not interested in that explanation. I want my money back. You stole it from me. So I took to Twitter and I started a moment asking, has Skype ripped you off? And lo and behold, actually, it's done that to a lot of people. So now Skype support says that they're going to refund my money, but they're trying to figure out how to do it to the original credit card. Well, I don't use that credit card anymore. So what's the point of that? Just give me my freaking money and stop deactivating. I mean, Starbucks doesn't deactivate your Starbucks card. Whole Foods doesn't deactivate your Whole Foods card. Why the hell would you deactivate anybody? Jeez.
Yeah, that's stupid.
We've talked about this. Oh, here comes Patty Smith Ochman. She's going to make an appearance.
Oh, well, I've got this is a great article by Taylor Lorenz at The Atlantic, who talks about influence. It's a good buyer beware article about influencer marketing. There's influencers. She details profiles, several influencers, quote unquote, who are faking sponsored posts. So the influencers, quote unquote, are like thanking brands that have never sponsored them. They're posting beautiful Instagram pictures of products that aren't sponsorships. So they're just kind of there's a quote from the article, the street cred, the more sponsors you have, the more credibility you have. So these people are trying to build themselves up as influencers by pretending as if they have sponsors. The sponsors, the brands are like, I don't know what to do. I mean, they are promoting us, but it's not, you know, we have nothing to do with them. So they're kind of in a bind that way. It's kind of fascinating dynamic. But it is a good thing to read because it's buyer beware with influencers. You really don't, unless you do the legwork, you don't know what you're getting, and you got to do the legwork to do it right. I mean, in Minneapolis, I can't spit without hitting an influencer these days. Downtown Minneapolis, they're everywhere. Around every other corner, somebody's posing for a gram. So you know, I mean, people can build up a lot of followers, but that doesn't mean they're an influencer.
Absolutely not. No, they're not.
You got to build your list by hand, look at the accounts, see if they're getting engagement, know precisely what you want out of the relationship, validate their audience, get the metrics, make sure you've got a solid plan in place if you're going to work with the work with the influencers. And you know what? An influencer doesn't have to have a large audience to be influential. In politics, especially, there are people who don't have a lot of followers but are very influential in what they say. So you just got to know the landscape and do your homework.
I've been to more than one event where agencies that represent influencers have held events about how great influencers are, and the influencers talk about, how they do it. There's not much substance to it, but my new kitten, Patty Smith Ochman, who was so named by the rescuer, happens to be willing to wear clothes. So she's going to be an Instagram star. Just watch us. So I wasn't sure whether I wanted to put this particular thing into the good or the bad stuff that happened this week, but Gillette has this toxic masculinity campaign going on, and they've been having a lot of backlash. And this story is from Becky Winchell on PR Daily, but it's been written about all over the place. And so they're trying to put a new spin on their 30-year tagline, "The best a man can get." And they're getting mixed reactions to it. They've managed to piss off some women in the process too. So on their website, the company wrote, "Our tagline needs to continue to inspire us all to be better every day and to help create a new standard for boys to admire and for men to achieve, because the boys of today are the men of tomorrow. We've all got to work to do that, and it starts today." Well, that sounds very nice, of course. And the company asks consumers to visit thebestthatmencanbe.org, and that leads them to a landing page that explains the site and the campaign and its promises. And it says there, this is an important conversation, and as a company, we encourage men to be their best. We feel compelled to address it and take action on our own. And that's from Pankaj Bala, Gillette's brand director for North America. We're taking a realistic look at what's happening today and aiming to inspire change by acknowledging that the old saying, "boys will be boys," should not be an excuse. So P&G said they're not going to pull the spot, even though there's negative reaction. They said they recognize they're sparking a passionate dialogue, and it's getting people to stop and think about what it means to be our best selves. But, men are saying, well, you're making us all look like a bunch of thugs. And, you're making it look like Me Too is something that, we are just all doing. And men are angry and women are angry, and women are saying, like, not all men are awful, and I'm not going to use Gillette products anymore. And, I kind of think that the idea of it is a wonderful idea, to educate men about what toxic masculinity is, because unfortunately it's quite prevalent, not with you, of course, Dave, but, it is. And this is a very fraught time in the relationships between men and women. So I'm all in favor of brands taking a stand. And I think this is kind of brave, but the fact that it's pissing off so many people does not seem to be selling razor blades.
It's interesting. I just noticed the buzz online all week and hadn't looked at the ad or anything because I didn't have time. I only looked at it before the show because you put it in the show notes. And I don't really get why it's so controversial, but good for P&G for not pulling it because of the controversy, because so many brands they are making a statement
down.
And you know what? It fits with their tagline. It fits with their tagline that has been in existence for a long time. And yeah, so many brands back down in the face of controversy. But if it's a value statement, which this is, then don't back down. And I thought the ad was well done.
I did too.
And I think I don't know why it would be controversial. The only thing I noticed when I was watching the ads is one of the messages is anti-bullying. And, I've had bullies in my life. They're not going to change because of the ad. The reason bullies are bullies is because they were bullied. And, so that's kind of a different problem. But
well, it is, but I mean, perhaps getting people to think about it might help some people understand the dynamics of it. I mean, all in all, it's a really good thing. It's a little bit heavy-handed, in my opinion, but everybody's talking about it, so how bad could that be? we'll see what happens. I guess you have to keep watching this one for a while.
Yeah.
But it's an important conversation, in my opinion.
It is. It is. New stuff?
I have another one.
You do.
This
Okay.
happened I just saw this today. Scott Scowcroft sent this to me. It's a story from the Seattle Times, and we've talked on this show about deep fakes. And this is a story by Christine Claridge and Ryan Blethen at the Seattle Times. And what happened was that they wrote a story about this staffer at the Fox affiliate Q13 in Seattle who was fired after the station aired what appears to be a doctored video of fake president on Tuesday night, on his Tuesday night speech from the Oval Office. And the, the video was changed to make it look as if Trump was sticking his tongue out languidly between sentences, letting it hang out of his mouth. In the actual video, he was mouth breathing and lip licking for several long silences. So, it's not that different. But in the deep fake, the colors in the video are much more saturated. So he's much more orange and his hair is even more clarabellish. And the station released a statement saying, "We've completed our investigation into this incident and determined that the actions were the result of an individual editor whose employment has been terminated." And it's unclear whether the employee created the video or just allowed it to go on the air, but it's kind of a statement in either case. And a recent Washington Post story, explained how realistic looking pornographic videos are being digitally generated, and these forgeries, the deep fakes can be hard to spot. So I'm going to include in the show notes stories from both BuzzFeed and Quartz that talk about how to spot these deep fakes and tell them from fiction.
Yeah, well, his biggest mistake was doing that at a Fox station.
Exactly. Exactly. If we did it at CNBC, everybody be going, "What a great video that was." So that brings us to shiny stuff, right?
It does,
Why don't
yes.
you give us one?
All right. So this is Listen Notes. Listen Notes is a fantastic podcasting search engine, and God knows we need them. Because the only place the center of gravity for podcasting is iTunes, and we need a lot of more competition. But this is great. It's a search engine, podcast search engine. It includes Beyond Social Media show. So we each podcast has its own show page, and on the page you can play the podcast episodes, and you can save for listening for later. But it seems to have a lot of podcasts in it too. So it looks like it's indexed very well. So Listen Notes.
Sounds like what Google has been saying for a long time they were going to
Exactly.
do
Yep.
and hasn't done.
Yep.
So, I'm a person who doesn't drink, but this still appeals to me. It's an AI robot bartender, and it's a cocktail maker that's created to supposedly freely communicate with humans. I suppose the more you drink, the more you think it's communicating, but it comes in red, black, and white. It stocks 1,500 drinks in one load. It can serve 150 to 100 to 150 drinks an hour. It takes payments, including crypto, through an app. It has an AI chatbot, which of course has advertising possibilities. It can also make a cappuccino. It takes the form of this snake-like flexible robot arm. Come on, Kikity. That's capable of gripping glasses, gripping glasses, pouring bottles, taking payments, and doing whatever bartenders do to turn your drinks into the soothing, refreshing beverage in your hand. And the CEO of the company, whose name is Alan Adojan, says Yanu, which is the name of the robot, is a gentleman just like an old-fashioned bartender and has a soul. I doubt that. Is classy, witty, and elegant. And there's a scary selling point in there. Forget about labor, taxation, theft, and sick days. I find that horrifying. But anyway, I like robots. You like robots, so I thought I'd talk about it.
Can you hold a conversation with them about your sorrow?
Apparently, you can. Oh, here she comes. Come here, Boo Boo. Come on. You could do it. Here she is. Okay. You ready to meet her? This little thing is Okay, yes, we hear you.
She doesn't ever want to show her face.
Yeah, she doesn't want to show her face. Here's her
Yeah.
little face. Oh,
There
how
we
cute is
go.
she?
There we go.
That is Patty Smith Ochman.
All right. Yay, Patty Smith Hockman. All right. So last week we devoted our entire episode to navel gazing. About how we got to episode 254. We're on episode 255 now. We talked in the second half of last week about our plans for 2019, and we've decided we're going to try things out in this section. And this week we're going to talk about our planning process for this year, and it starts with a content calendar. So we're going to get more disciplined this year and build a content calendar. So I'm going to share a screen with you and show you the content calendar we're planning on using. It's a template that I've used for many clients in the past. And audio listeners, if you're listening to us, you can watch it at the show notes page on beyondsocialmediashow.com/255. And let me share my screen here.
I hope it works.
It'll work. You see that?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a template for a content calendar, and I'm just going to run through it to show y'all how we're planning on organizing our posts this year. So we've got it broken out by month, and we can determine a monthly topic. So maybe this is designed around holidays or something that we might want to talk. So maybe Valentine's Day is something that we want as partial theme for February, etc. But we can list what our monthly topic or topics plural will be under each month. And then if we do any media relations efforts with regard to the podcast, you can note them here. And if we get earned media, then we can include our metrics here, our monthly impressions, whatever the metric may be. We're probably not going to do any press releases, but if we wanted to, we could have that. And then our posts for each episode we can include here, and we can prioritize or decide ahead of time what we're going to optimize for, since we're planning all this out. So we can include that in there. The video we'll include here and optimize what's the video title. So what are we going to optimize our video on YouTube for compared to what we're going to optimize the actual blog post for the episode. And then when we get the newsletter started, we can include our subject line, our send date, and what list we send it to, and keep track of that, so we can compare how the metrics work for subject lines.
Dave, what format did you use for this? Is this a Google Doc?
This is a Google Doc. This is a Google Sheet. Yeah. Yep. And eBlast, we're not going to be doing any of those, so we can just delete that. Here's our individual podcast. So we'll use this for the audio version, what the podcast title for the audio version is. And then if we were to do any advertising campaigns, we would note those here. And social media posts, if we had a campaign type of thing going on, we usually just post individual articles we discuss and in episodes. But if you want to do a campaign, we could note that here. So that's an overview.
I think that's a wonderful document for us to use.
Yeah. So in the Publish Post tab, this is where we can keep track of everything that we've done. So if we want to do like resharing, if there's a podcast episode from the past that is suddenly relevant, we can find it easily by archiving it in our Publish Posts. Landing pages, if we did advertising, we'd keep our landing pages here for reference. And then any offsite content, so videos, audio files, etc. here. And then earned media, any earned media here. That way we have a library, so we can easily reference it for sharing on social if we need to. And that's kind
because
of the template.
As we head toward 300 episodes, it's quite a volume of information. But one of the things that I plan to do is to do a preview video. I used to do those all the time. And, just do like, here's some of the things we're going to talk about this week, and do that in advance of the show. and that seemed to help the times that I did them. And I'm going to redo our station intro video, which is 4 years old and about to look like the 10-year challenge, which I'm not doing. God damn it, I'm not doing that.
Hey, one note on that, the 10-year challenge thing. I know there was a moment where it listed a bunch of people who had done 10-year challenges to show the effects of climate change.
Oh,
pretty
that's
clever. Pretty
interesting.
clever.
How did they do that?
Before and after pictures of certain
the
landmarks. So you could
landmarks, not themselves. Oh,
you
yeah.
could see glaciers receding. I mean, it was like there are
That's
glaciers
very
right up to
smart.
and then a pool of water where the glaciers used to be.
That's very smart. So I think that now brings us to politics. Oh no, you want to talk about the feedback we got? Someone actually listened to what we asked and gave us some feedback about the
Yeah,
show.
so this is lovely, and we want to share it with you so that we can encourage you to give us your feedback as well. And we don't. It's lovely because it's positive. That's not what we want. We want honest. So
We
if
want
it's
good, bad,
positive,
and ugly.
exactly.
Just like the show. Come on, kitty cat.
But this is I'll read it. So I've been listening to your show for a couple of months, and I really enjoy it. So that now that you asked for feedback, I thought I'd send you some from Norway. I have worked as a journalist and in communication since 1994. I am really more of a writer than technically fluent. I have been into politics and locally, and this summer I closed down a WordPress blog that I had since 2009. I have experience in entrepreneurial communities. Excuse me, I've got a scratchy throat here. I got to take a step.
I've had that for a couple of weeks now. Comes and goes.
So I have a bit of background in the field of communications, but for the most recent 2 to 3 years, I've been so busy in my private life that I have just been treading water professionally. So this outed me to decide to level it up and get back to the front of the tech, communications, etc. In the process, your show has been a joy and really helpful. I like that you cover a lot of topics. You provide me with talking points whenever I meet younger people who think they know so much more than I do. You provide me with an overview of the front lines. So I hope that you don't start having interviews with just one person on a show, as that tends to become monotopic, boring, and flavored with advertisements.
Couldn't agree more.
For that person's company. So yeah, that's something. If we do have interviews, we would definitely caution against that. I also like that you provide your honest opinion with a sense of humor and sometimes teasing others. I like that your tone is that you think of me as smart, but not very much into everything. I like that I can always follow what you are talking about, even if I don't know much about it. Some other podcasts seem to be more about telling everyone how much the host knows, and that I'm the stupid one. You give me more of a feeling that of being smart enough, and even if I cannot code, for instance. I hope you find my feedback useful. Look forward to your next podcast. We do. Thank you very much, Barrett. We very much appreciate it, and the rest of you listeners, each one of you, we want to hear from. Please do send us your feedback. You can find us both on LinkedIn. We're on Twitter. You can email us. I'm at david@bsmediashow.com. BL is at bsmediashow.com. So please do continue to send us your feedback.
And we will take whatever you tell us very seriously, because we have a very different perspective than you do. We want to hear what yours is. So this brings us to something that I am in love with, and a political story that I just am so excited about. I don't know who did this. Unfortunately, I found it in Business Insider, but it's a Chrome extension that is called Make America Kittens Again. And you add it to your Google Chrome extension, and then the browser automatically detects pictures of Trump on the web and changes them to photos of kittens. So originally the extension didn't work on social media sites like Facebook and Twitter, but lo and behold, tonight the actual photo of the president on his own Twitter feed is a kitten. So So it changes the photos on sites like the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Business Insider. There's a set number of kittens in the kitten portfolio, so you might see repeat kittens, but is that a bad thing? So you must have this extension. It's wonderful. And the person who did it, please come forth and tell us who you are.
Any Patti Smith Ochman photos yet?
No, I haven't seen them yet, but I would love to upload them there. No, Patti Smith Ochman's only been here since this morning. So she arrived with with a flourish, but she's still getting used to the place. Since I saw you last, as you know, I lost Benny Bick's Ochman Labradoodle, and I kind of feel like he would have liked this kitten. I'm not ready for a dog. I don't have a place in my heart right now for a dog, but I got room for a kitten. They're fun.
Yeah, and she seems pretty mellow, so.
She is. So do you have another one?
I do not.
Well, I found this really fascinating. This is from an Adweek story, and this is how brands have responded to the shutdown. And it's from Katie Richards at Adweek. And Burger King, Sweet Green, Nestle, REI, Columbia Sportswear, The North Face, and Kraft are some of the brands that are responding to the shutdown. And Kraft is hosting a Kraft Now Pay Later event in Washington that will be going on, I believe, until tomorrow. And the brand is going to give those in need a full bag of Kraft products, including Kraft mac and cheese and natural cheeses and singles and salad dressings and mayo and Kraft barbecue to help families keep going during the shutdown. And all you need to get that bag is a government ID. They're not asking for any money. They don't want to be repaid when the workers go back to work. What they're asking is that people donate to a charity of their choice if they can. Some people can, some people can't. And also there was, several other brands have done nothing quite like that where they're actually giving you something to eat, but brands have made statements. And I think that is extremely important at this point in time as our country is so challenged, that brands do take a stand. Everybody needs to take a stand right now. It's not a time to just sit back and go, oh, is that what's happening? So I was quite heartened by the things I saw brands doing, and I'll include some of them on the show. And also Burger King tweeted the day after the president gave the sports team hamburgers and pizza because the kitchen shut down during the shutdown, and he said, I paid for it. Like, we need to know that. And so the next day Burger King said, sorry, we're out of burgers due to an incredibly large order last night, which I thought was commendable. Anyway, I'm done talking about that.
Yeah.
But really, we've discussed the pros and cons of companies taking a stand, and I think that you'll see a lot more of this as time goes on.
Yeah, well, brands are almost being forced to take sides these days. So there you go. Pro tips. I've got a pro tip for you. I've been talking about LinkedIn. Here's another LinkedIn pro tip, and more to come in future episodes. But the default image, the banner image at the top of your LinkedIn profile, change it. Don't just leave the default image. This is another opportunity for you to customize your profile and customize your banner image to reinforce your brand. So if I have a friend who does a lot of public speaking, and he's got a banner image of him public speaking, so that gives it loud and clear what he does, right? If you're a business owner, you could have your company tagline with a URL to your website. The way that I use my my banner image on my LinkedIn profile is I have a photograph of me looking to the left, and that leads in to the profile picture of me looking to the right. As I mentioned in the last episode when we had a pro tip, I deliberately have that so that when people find me in search, the eyes that I'm looking to the right, and my eyes point to the listing so that it leads people into the listing so they'll actually read my listing. We are hardwired to look at humans' eyes, and so that's how that dynamic works. So with my banner image, I'm looking to the left. My profile, it leads into my profile image, which I'm looking to the right, and that leads into the rest of my profile. So it's a device I use to get people deeper into my profile. So you can actually see that on my LinkedIn profile if you want to. I'm at linkedin.com/in/David E. Erickson.
So I have one that I did not put in the show notes, but it's a Twitter tip. And on one of the sites for one of my clients, there is someone who actually has some content that's worth reading. But what he does is every time that anybody reacts to him in any way or he interacts with them in any way, he does a tweet that lists like 15 names, thanks, da 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 da. And so then you have all these people responding to just having their names listed, which has no value whatsoever. If you really feel you need to, I blocked the guy. I mean, if you really feel that you need to thank people, then please thank them one by one, or thank all the people who interacted with me this week. You don't have to make a long list. It's not going to build your following. It's going to annoy them.
Good tip. Good tip. So let's wrap this up. This is a smart speaker benchmarks. Loop Ventures does a periodic testing of smart speakers and how they respond to questions for their accuracy. And so they asked 800, I think, questions of the Google Home, of Apple's HomePod, of Amazon Echo, and of Microsoft's Cortana digital assistant. So of those, Google Home far outpaces everybody else. For local queries, for questions about local, usually like local, I want a local Italian restaurant or something. Google gets 95% accuracy. Amazon gets let's see. Yeah, that is a HomePod, 89%, surprisingly. And then Amazon at 71%. For commerce-related queries, Google Home gets 86% accuracy. Everybody else is in the 50s. So HomePod gets 56, Echo gets 52. For navigational related, give me directions to go wherever. Google Home gets 94%. HomePod gets 88%, and Echo gets 63%. So it looks like HomePod is increasing their capabilities since the last report on this. For informational related queries, Google Home gets 94%, and Echo gets 91%, and then HomePod drops to 66%. Finally, for commands, just telling it to do things, 73% for Google Home, 85% for HomePod, and 68% for Echo. So HomePod uses Siri technology, and Siri technology, it looks like it's improving. It has sucked for a long time. So
It's getting better.
There's a long way to go. So good.
My favorite with her was I was looking for a particular bank, and she's telling me there's none in the area, and I turn around and I look behind me, and I'm standing in front of one.
Yeah. That's because their maps suck too.
Yeah, they do, but nobody's maps are worse than Yahoo Maps were. Yahoo Maps put my cousin and I in the middle of the woods when we were trying to go to this festival, and it took us on a road that apparently had closed a long time ago. It just ended, and so we went up to this woman's door and knocked on it and said, "Excuse us, we're lost." "Oh, are you using Yahoo Maps?" she said. So a lot of people were knocking on her door about that. So I guess that brings us to the end of episode 255 of the Beyond Social Media Show podcast. And you'll find links to everything we discussed here on beyondsocialmediashow.com/255. That's our blog. We really would like you to let us know what you think. You can leave us a review at beyondsocialmediashow.com/love. You can comment and email us. Anything you want to do to get in touch with us, we'd like to hear from you. Yes, and so would Patty Smith Ochman. This is I'm here with David Erickson, who is on Twitter as D Erickson. He's on Instagram as DE Erickson. He blogs at estrategyblog.com. I am BL Ochman. I'm What's Next on Twitter. I blog at What's Next Blog. I'm on YouTube at What's Next Blog. And my business site is blochman.com. The show is at beyondsocialmediashow.com. We are on YouTube, Beyond Social Media Show. We're on Twitter as BS Media Show. And we're on iTunes. We're on Stitcher. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Google Home. And you have no excuse for not finding us. And we'll be back next week. And what's our format going to be next week, Dave? Have we decided that?
We haven't decided that yet.
Well, you'll find out when we do the
you know what?
advance.
We'll give a case study next week. We'll do a case
I would like to
study
do that.
week.
Yeah. Okay. Next week will be mini case studies.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful weekend. I hope you're not too snowed in wherever you are. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.